Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the KRED YARD. Today, I'm honored to have my first guest, Monty O'blivion. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm Monty O'blivion. Hi, everyone.
I met you about, let's say 5-6 years ago.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Really?
And we kind of kept in touch over the years, and you're the first person I want to interview with this because you have such a huge, we'll get all into it, you do everything. And I didn't even know you had a podcast. We'll get into that soon too, which I want to ask about. But the whole reason I wanted to start this whole channel was interview artists I like a lot, and I've been watching interviews since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And there's bands I'm like, well, what about this guy? What about this guy? Like, why is no one interviewing this dude? Like, or girl or whoever, you know? So I'm like, I'll just do it. No. So, yeah.
I'll start.
Yeah, man. So, my first question would be like, where did you come from? Like, where did you
come from? That's parts unknown. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm from Mesa, Arizona originally.
Right.
I started out in a band called the Video Nasties several years ago. That was actually, you're wearing a Cramps shirt. We were kind of in the vein of the Cramps, to where it was like, you know, a rockabilly style, but like very fast and punk rock. You know?
Yeah, I tried to find that on YouTube, but there's like, I think you guys might have been first because all the other bands I found were later.
I'm pretty sure there were. Now I see them all the time. There's like several bands.
Yeah.
I think we might have been second.
Uh-huh.
There was some band from England that had a song called "Me and Carl Blow." And, they were called the Video Nasties too. We had they didn't know who the hell we were probably, but I like to think we had a rivalry going because we're the only other bands at the time that would show up. Nowadays, I don't know. There's several.
Right. Yeah. I was like, well, this isn't.
We were one of the first, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's say it here. Put it right now.
Yeah, one out of two firsts.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, on your band, no, your record label, which we'll get into as well. Am I gonna say it right? KBOR Records.
KBOR.
KBOR.
Yeah.
And that's gonna tie into your podcast as well. What I'll ask you about.
It originated from the podcast.
Yeah. So like, if you started like, the first thing you said in your bio, I was saying, you mentioned Nirvana, which I think all things lead back to Nirvana, or in some way. So that was like your biggest thing in the beginning, starting out music.
Yeah, when I was growing up as a teenager, when I first started playing shows, you know, just having the idea of having a band,
Yeah.
I was like heavily influenced by Nirvana.
Yeah.
And, you know, the band was called Blind Eyes, and
Yeah.
it was like, if you listen to it, you can't really find it anywhere. I don't think.
I tried. I spent like maybe 20 minutes trying to look, and I was like, I gotta move on and try to find.
Yeah, this was back when we were just passing out like blank CDs, and we had like a MySpace page, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing.
It was before like, you know, you could just distribute your own stuff. Like you were basically like posting really bad quality MP3s onto MySpace, and like.
Yeah.
Actually, man, maybe that would predated that even, because
That was like early 2000s, right?
it was like 2003.
Yeah.
2004.
You're kind of like right there at the beginning. Okay, cool. Yeah. So what were were you the songwriter for the band?
Yeah, primarily it was a collaborative. It was like started as a trio, so three of us kind of like wrote songs together.
Cool.
You know, sometimes the bass player would come up with a riff, sometimes I would come up, and you know, it was very experimental as like teenagers learning how to play their instruments, sort of way.
Right.
You know?
So that's how you picked up the guitar then, where you played in the band.
Yeah,
or?
that was when I first, because I started playing when I was like 14, and I think I started the band about 6 months after that.
Okay, nice. That's perfect. That's punk.
It was you know, it started out pretty punk. We thought of ourselves more as grunge. You know?
Yeah.
That was like I had like really long hair and wore beanies and stuff. And
flannels and all.
Yeah, Nirvana. You know, we were really into that.
Yeah.
I think we covered like a Pearl Jam song or something like that.
I can never get into it. I know my friend's gonna watch, but sorry, I still can't get into Pearl Jam.
It's alright. I mean, I can understand why people don't get into Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
I can't fault anyone for that.
So like, you just play like local shows or house shows as Blind Eyes?
Yeah, mostly house shows.
Okay.
You know, this was high school, so like there was like a pizza place we used to play at in Gilbert, Arizona, like called NYC Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
There was like friends' houses, and then we actually played the Mason Jar once, which was like our big thing. Now it's called the Rebel Lounge, but like back then it was Mason Jar. And,
yeah.
You know, all these old bands had played at that place, and it was kind of a staple. You know.
Yeah. That's like where all the rockabillys, I guess, play, right? I don't know. At the Rebel Lounge.
It's like now it's got everything. Now it's like it's a pretty big venue since it reopened.
Okay, that's cool.
But, yeah, so we played there at like 5 p.m. or something.
Just play your set.
It was fun. It was a fun like learning experience, you know. Like,
yeah.
It was kind of a rite of passage to, you know, learn how to run a band and how to get shows the right way.
Right. Yeah, the trial of an error.
Yeah.
Did you oh, how am I going with that? Did you like get, I guess, familiar with the scene? Was there like a scene around that time?
Yeah. We had friends we played shows with, and it was, you know, we would like. There was another high school that was like not too far from. We were at Highland High, and then the Gilbert High was like in the same district, but a little ways away. They had their own scene going on, and so we would always like, you know, collaborate on shows. And
that's so cool.
So, yeah, it was a pretty cool scene for just like high school bands, you know.
Yeah, it feels
a
totally.
A lot of it was like screamo sort of stuff, you know. And
oh yeah.
It kind of fit into what everyone was doing, like, and even though we were like, we totally had like a wannabe Nirvana sound, it fit in with what everyone else was doing in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So it was fun. Like, we could play with like, you know, hardcore punk bands, and like we could play with these screamo bands, and
it all fit in on the bill on the set. Yeah. Hey, that's so true. Like, yeah, all that. Yeah, it's like I said, it all goes back to Nirvana. It works for everything, really.
Totally.
Yeah. So, like, did you have? I remember what I was gonna say. Did you have like growing up? Were you surrounded by music, or did you have to find it on your own? Like,
oh, I was by the time when I was in third grade, I got into this phase where like I was just obsessed with music. I had just like got a tape recorder a stereo that had tape recording, and I would just like record everything I liked off the radio, like the rock station or the alternative station or whatever it was, you know.
Oh, that's so cool.
Like, I just totally nerded out. Like, anytime I like saved up my like allowance or something, I would go buy like cassette tapes, you know. So I was like, I was a sponge when it came to music, like early on, you know. And I don't really. It was just. It's not like my parents were kind of into music, but like, you know, in kind of a. I don't know. They appreciated music pretty well, you know. So that was probably a big influence, you know. Even though I don't know about their taste, they were like into butt rock and stuff like that.
Yeah, so are mine. It's so hard. So yeah, it's like you want to find the opposite of that, and it's almost like.
And I was totally into like just the rock and roll shit going on, and like that's when I discovered punk too. Like my mom actually worked at a radio station, changing discs and then like selling like ad time and shit like that.
Wow.
But she would always bring home promotional copies of stuff, and like I would just like any band I found, I would find magazines at like the grocery store and stuff that was like, you know, cutting edge rock magazine or something.
That's awesome. So you can just pick through the litter and just see it. Find what's good. Yep. Find what's good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So so you find all that stuff, and then it started the Vine Dies. After that ended, so, I read on your bio, and I have on my crazy notes that said 19 years old, you moved to California for audio engineering.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely. Yeah.
crazy. To me, I would be terrified.
I was like a really adventurous person. I think I still am, but like,
Yeah,
I was just like going all out back then. Like, 'cause I was like the youngest in my class. I went to the Conservatory of Recording Arts, which is in Tempe, Arizona. And so like as soon as I turned 18, I basically like moved out on my own and started applying to go to that school.
wow.
And I got in and like did like the audio engineering program, and part of that was like the internship at the end. So
Yeah.
you didn't graduate until you did a certain amount of intern hours, right? So I ended up coming to LA and doing internships at different studios. And you know, once I earned my required hours, I graduated, but I still kept interning. Like no one ever actually hired me. They just let me work for them for free.
Endless slavery.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, it was like I was spending so much time there, I didn't have time to get a real job.
Yeah.
And finally, when I did get a real job, they just stopped putting me on the schedule altogether. And I ended up like in LA, just like really broke, like not eating enough, and you know.
Yeah, you wrote. Yeah, it said, I remember on a bio it said it was chewed out by the
Oh
LA.
man.
But did you?
Yeah, they weren't. Internships aren't good.
Yeah.
Like in any way, they're really bad. And it's only starting with not getting paid. Like
Right.
that's the worst part. But like then having on top of that, having to like walk on eggshells and like just deal with like your boss's like bad moods, or like it was really dehumanizing. It turned me into a pretty like angry person when I was younger.
Yeah, sure.
But at the time it was pretty cool, because the whole time I was like teaching myself like GarageBand and Reason and like these audio, like these electronic type of programs that these DAWs that teaching myself how to play keyboard and how to program sounds and like design like synth sounds and what the knobs meant, all that shit.
So yeah.
So, and I was writing some really interesting songs too, because I was coming from a place of like kind of, I don't know, desperation and like struggle at the time,
Right.
And I ended up having to move back to Arizona, and then I started like, I got a band together, and I didn't, at first, we got the Video Nasties together.
Right, when you came back.
Yeah, all of a sudden, I was like I started listening to a lot of blues, a lot of country and rockabilly, and I was like, because I kind of felt like I had plateaued as a guitar player, because I was just playing like, punk songs and, grunge songs. I went through a little bit of a new metal phase for a time. Like,
I can't blame you.
I subbed in like this band called The Corticate for a while as like their like second guitar player, like doing wheelie wheelie wee things, like while the fucking chugs are going like,
I don't think I've ever heard of them.
No, you wouldn't have.
Yeah.
It was like we played like one show, I think, and it was basically just fun to jam on for a while. But yeah, so that whole time I was like doing my own stuff and like learning new like mixing techniques and all that sort of thing.
That's
it
cool.
was like really fueling my desire to do that. So
do you think?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Do you think if you didn't like, so it seems like you learned a lot just from being in California, and even with all that, gruesome intern life. But I feel like if you didn't go to California, do you think you would be sounding the way you sound now?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm like a firm believer in like if anything was different at all, it would be like the effects of butterfly wings like from years ago.
Right.
Like, it would affect everything going on these days. So yeah, I think so. But yeah, it was. I was probably necessary because I also like roomed up with some like really good friends of mine, and like we had like would collaborate sometimes, and I learned a lot through that. So yeah, I think it was like definitely an influential period of time.
Did you get a feel of the scene at the time there? Like, were you going to any like local
Not
shows?
at that time. I mean, I was just kind of like there were a few LA bands that like at first I interned at a rehearsal space, and so there were a few bands that came through there, but I wasn't going to too many shows back then. I was just kind of like I would work my 50 hours a week or whatever, and then just kind of pass out. Like,
yeah.
How
long was that for though? I mean to go back.
That was for about a year.
Okay.
That was for about a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
wow.
then,
I don't know if I could do a year. But that's
right,
awesome.
I had a hard time doing it towards the end, and that's when I was like,
Fuck
sorry, I can only work the weekends because I have to get a paying job because I'm not making it right now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm evicted. I'm not going to be able to eat all that shit.
You got.
So
then
like,
you did.
Once that happened, I just was calling for like 3 more months. I was just calling every fucking day, like, when can I work? And they'd be like, we'll call you. And eventually, they just like wouldn't fire me. They just wouldn't put me on the schedule.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It was this like really schnoozy like fucking studio that like Janet Jackson and like Jermaine Dupri and shit like would record at, and it was kind of weird.
Yeah. Janet Jackson. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, then you came back, and then you mentioned you did the Video Nasties, and you said you just started listening to more. Because, I agree. Like, sometimes, the 3-chord sometimes isn't enough. It is enough when it needs to be, but you gotta, as an artist.
Yeah, and Video Nasties was great, because then that's when I started learning that whole new guitar style, and I felt like it, like, kind of changed my whole world of guitar,
Right.
And so I started doing that, and very like rockabilly punk sounding, like the Cramps, and then that was like we played some crazy shows, and like things got a little nuts with that, and it was a lot of fun, for like 21-year-old kids, 22, and
so you lived that fun craziness that I always kind of was searching for.
Yeah, well that's cool. And that's how I met the Limit Club. And
okay.
That's at that time. I think Video Nasties were pretty much done, but the Limit Club asked me to produce like their second album, Phantom Cats.
Oh, okay, Phantom Cats.
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't produce Cutthroat?
I didn't produce. Yeah, Cutthroat Business is the one I produced.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So it was their third.
Right. Yeah.
And, so I was like really stoked on that, because I had never really produced anything besides my own stuff before, but it ended up being great. Like,
yeah,
I did some synth parts, and I did some saxophone parts, I believe, and I think it was mostly synths and like sort of like production sort of thing. I don't think they used some of it. They used some of it. They didn't, but the end result sounded pretty great.
I think so.
And yeah, so then after that, they like, we became really good friends, and like, they asked me to be in their band, and then I was saying, well, I was actually like, well, I'm trying to start my own band, because I was trying to get a band to do Manual Sex Drive,
right?
Which is what I was recording all my songs as. I barely played live. I did a couple solo shows here and there, but like,
yeah, you did that. You did it after Video Nasties, right? It kind of stopped and started.
It was like during.
Okay.
That's kind of been the thing I've always done, like since I was like a teenager. I would just call it Manual Sex Drive for a long time. Now I just call it Monty O'Blivion. But it's just basically me at home recording my own shit,
It's great, yeah. I love it.
And, so after Video Nasties, I was like, I should put a band together for this, because I'm really liking the songs I'm writing.
Yeah, so, yeah. It kind of went hand in hand. with the Limit
Yeah.
Club and then Manual Sex Drive.
Yeah, so first it was like me and Nick, and Nick really wanted to partner up, and so I joined the Limit Club. He joined my band, Manual Sex Drive.
Yeah.
We kind of built it up from there, and then it was awesome. You know, we would play shows together sometimes, but like we were just kind of going. Eventually, it became like half the band.
Yeah.
Was members of Limit Club too, you know, so it was really
Yeah, because the bass Nick or whatever joined in too, right?
Yeah, Nick
Yeah.
Mason joined.
Right.
Dick joined the band,
and you guys did Illumiphobia then.
Yep, we did Illumiphobia. That was the first thing.
Yeah, which I mean, I love everything, but when I met you, I like, you know, bought the little merch, looking at the merch and all that. I was like, I'll get that, and Illumiphobia. I'm like, what the fuck is Manual Sex Drive? And my friend Glenn was like, oh, that's their other band.
Brought those CDs with us, didn't you?
Yeah. Yep, I still have it. And dude, I joke that album is, I mean, when I met you like 6 years ago, I listened to it, and I was literally driving around town at nighttime, just at 1 a.m, just listening to that album. It's so good. I just have to say, I love it.
Crazy. Next year is gonna be like 10 years, 10-year anniversary, I think.
Wow.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to get into like the lyrics for that, for Manual Sex Drive with Illumiphobia. Like that's because I know like you now as Monty and all that, and not that I was trying to find like for Video Nasties, and you know everybody's got that band name, they stole it from you. But like that was kind of like the beginning for you because it's very like religiously and politically motivated, and I freaking love it.
Yeah.
What's the I look at my notes like a crazy guy, but there's this interlude. It plays like a religious, you know, talking about 666 and all that. And I was in the car with my fiance, and she's like, I looked over at her, and she's just like, she's like, what is this? Like I'm like, this is. I'm like, I just like turned it up. It was so great.
Yeah. Well. Oh yeah. That was.
So that was like the bit. Sorry, what I wanted to say was that was kind of like, was that like the beginning of like more of the foundation of like more of like the lyrics that you go for now?
Yeah, I mean that was like. That's kind of always what I've done a little bit on like with my own stuff.
Yeah.
But with that, like, that was, I kind of I had done that like a while back, and I was just like, oh, this would sound interesting right here. So I kind of blended it in to like the rear of that McJesus song.
Yeah, I was listening to that today at work. I was blaring it.
That song's ridiculous, but
yeah.
But it was fun. I mean, like that was like that really like made me want to play more sax. Being in the Limit Club really made me want to play more sax too.
Yeah.
At one point, like at first I just played like guitar, but then at some point I was like, you know, I kind of mentioned like, oh yeah, I play sax by the way, and they're like, oh my god, bring your sax, you know.
I wanted to ask you, when did you start playing saxophone? Was that before you started like the grunge thing and everything, like in school?
That was 4th grade.
Okay.
I picked up the alto sax.
Nice.
And, you know, just did it in band all the way up till through 8th grade. I stopped in high school because I just didn't want to join a marching band or any of that, you know.
Yeah, that's when I stopped too, high school.
Yeah.
I played the trumpet.
I just kind of stopped, and I really didn't mess with the sax for a while until the Limit Club, and then, you know, I don't know, we had this idea to use the sax, and
it works.
I fell in love with it, man. I was like, this is a whole new way of playing the sax, because before, just playing sheet music, you know, you're going for accuracy, and like this is the first time I could really just like improv and like, you know. Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
Crazy with it, you know.
Yeah. Dude, when I saw you with Limit Club and you pulled the saxophone out, like I wanted to tell you this before, but like just like everybody was like fucking psyched when you pulled the saxophone out. And
everyone loves the sax, you know.
Everyone loves sax.
It's good reason, man. It sounds so good. Like it adds so much to a song. Like so much, you can like translate so much energy through the sax.
When you got the sax out, and I turned to Glenn, and I was like, fuck. I'm like, holy shit, and everyone was just totally psyched. It was awesome.
I love playing it too in that setting, you know, and I just fell in love with that, and I still do that now. Now I play more tenor. I don't play the alto as much, mostly tenor, but I'm loving it. You know, like I started just making that one of the main instruments that my music would like complement. You know what I mean? You know?
It does. It absolutely does.
You know who like what really in a weird way. I don't listen to them very much, but damn, there was that band. They were like a New York like subway band who would just like do like techno just on like the baritone sax and like the drums or something.
Well, like what? Like Sandstorm or something?
Like, kind of, yeah. It was stuff like that, but it was with the sax, and I was like, holy shit, you could play the sax like a synth.
Yeah.
I don't remember their name right now. It's like Zoo something, but
okay.
I was like, I learned you could play the sax like a synth, and more importantly, it sounds great like blended in with the synths, you know. So
yeah, it literally goes with anything, especially with like rockabilly. Everything. Even what you do now as a solo, like you still use it, and it's like it's like fuck.
Yeah, I love it. It's like you know, I feel comfortable playing it, and it's like, you know, it's fun to create songs around.
Right.
Come up with a good sax riff, you can like build on that. Like
So you guys did Illumiphobia, great album, love it. But you also have another album, which took a while. I remember I was waiting for that. The Music Is Dead. That's also an awesome album.
That was like
absolutely worth checking out for anyone listening. I'll link everything in the bio, as they say. But once you guys put that, actually, you know what? Hold on. With the Music Is Dead, you guys just a mention from your you had a podcast, which I mentioned earlier. It mentions KBOR Records. Can you tell me more about the podcast? Because I didn't have enough time to try to search for it.
I only did a few episodes of it, and you know, when I was doing it, it was like you pay. They don't have now. You can do it all for free and everything, but I couldn't get it on Spotify. It was like you hosted it through this website, and you could put it on like, you know, SoundCloud or something like that. You know, it was not worth the money, so I stopped really doing it too much. Plus, I just got like busy.
Yeah.
And like whenever I was in the studio, I just wanted to write, or like rehearse, or you know, I couldn't get like motivated to do it. But yeah, it was. I'm trying to get it started again, actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That'd
be awesome.
KBOR Records or KBOR. It was basically supposed to be a fictional FM station, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know.
Yeah. It's like my fiance. She listened, or still does, like Welcome to Night Vale, stuff like that. And
oh yeah.
So
I was listening to Welcome to Night Vale at the time, so that definitely might have been part of the idea.
Inspiration for it. That's cool.
Yeah,
she would
kind of be like parodying like the rock station in Arizona. That was like, it was so corny and geared toward like dads and people with the gym.
That's awesome.
Mostly to like make fun of like just really mainstream bad radio like that.
Yeah. The butt rock radio.
Yeah, and like, you know, dad rock. They play like Nickelback all the time.
So, did you finish mowing your lawn? This song's for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was kind of like a parody of that, and I started doing like, you know, satire commercials and everything.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of fun. And
oh yeah, you could go. That's awesome. I hope to see that again. Or listen to it. Not again. I never listened to it. Sorry, I was trying to find it, but
yeah, you can find it on SoundCloud. That's
SoundCloud.
It just has like little clips on SoundCloud. But
what do you type in for it?
I think it's just SoundCloud.com/Hour of Glower.
Hour of Glower. Yeah, right. Because that's yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it was like Monty O'Blivion's Hour of Glower. It was like a radio show that I somehow got onto this really bad radio station called KBOR. So it would be like fake interviews and fake like commercials, and then just me just talking out of my ass in between some songs that I liked, and
I love that. That's so cool.
yeah, the funnest part was like the little bumpers and everything. Like I would just do all these like it would, you probably heard on Music Is Dead that.
Yeah, that was from the podcast. That was from it. That was yeah.
The podcast, yeah.
That's what I realized. Like, it was kind of like a theme that maybe you have like you have like little hints of what's coming next. And then years later it becomes reality.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, I think. Something I noticed, but I don't know if it's that. Yeah.
The Manuel Sex Drive was going great for a while. Like, it was really hard to get that album out, actually, because there was just a lot of... Everyone had personal shit going on at the time,
Right. Because what
you
guys...
hard, but it took so long to put it out. And that's one of the things that was, like, really, making me want to do something differently with it was, like, how long that took. I was just like, I have, like, too much stuff that I want to make. Like, I don't have time to wait for other people, And,
yeah. I know. Yeah.
For the album after that, the EP, So Much for the Tolerant Left EP, I did that, like, pretty much, I had all the recordings that I was working on, but I just, like, figured, we'll just all record it myself. I'll record it myself and have everyone come in and do their parts and everything, instead of going to a studio to do it, because it's so much cheaper, and we can do it on everyone's schedule. And I don't know, maybe it made it feel less personal or something like that, but
yeah, that's what you
really get into that album, So it was just kind of falling apart in general. I think, like with the Litter Club and this, plus I had like a new baby coming, and like,
oh yeah, right.
I had a lot going on. I was like, my wife and I were in different states, so I was going back and forth between Arizona and California a lot.
Wow. How long's that drive?
About 5.5 to 6 hours.
Ugh. After 2, it's over for me. That's wow. Yeah.
I was doing it weekly, so it was
wow.
It was a lot, and I ended up moving to LA full time, and we just kind of went our separate ways, and I just decided like I felt like I was getting good enough with like my own stuff that I had been recording at home.
Yeah.
I can just work on this, and I just figured out a way to do it live, with backing tracks and with guitar, saxophone, keyboards, and and I just decided I wanted to do shows with it, so.
Yeah, it works great.
The first few were rough for sure, but like after practicing more and more and more, like I've just gotten like comfortable with it, and so.
Yeah, that was like 2018, I guess, right? Then you started doing a solo, I think.
Yeah, I think 2018 was like when I officially started putting out solo stuff.
Right. And your first like solo thing was I don't know why I did that. You are Monty O'Blivion. It was you took the when you mentioned So Much for the Tolerant Left, the Western World song that you put that as your first single.
Because I ended up doing that album and recording all the parts myself. And
at
first I was gonna just keep the Manuel Sex Drive thing because that's what I had since I was a teenager, and that's what I was just used to writing songs under. But then I, after putting out that album, I figured like maybe this will be the last album for that, and then I'll just kind of do more of this darker, like synth heavy, like new wave sort of sounding stuff, and just call it something else so that it's just fresh. You know what I mean? And I was just like, this will just be like Monty O'Blivion because
that's your television name.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I just figured if I ever decided to do a band with it, I could. But all the songs I released under this would be just my own.
What you mentioned just before that, you waiting, everyone's got to do what they got to do, but you know, you're waiting on I get from you, you just want to go, like you're ready to do that and go. So like now that you're solo, like you put out so much by yourself, and then you started a record label, which we mentioned, like KBOR. Was that around like after? That was in 2018, I guess, right?
Yeah, when I started doing solo stuff, like, because when I was in Lemon Club and MSD, we kind of had like a partnership with this label, Phantom Cat Records,
Mm-hmm.
and so when I had like gone my own way with that, I just kind of like stepped away from Phantom Cats, but then started releasing my own stuff, pretty much the same way, um, but just doing it under my own label, which ended up being KBOR Records, like the podcast.
Yeah.
And
I love it. It's great.
with that, that just kind of grew a little bit because I just realized when I first moved out here, I was like, I'm just gonna book all my own shows, and not to worry too much. Eventually promoters and stuff would, I would meet them and connect with them and things. But for now, if I want to play shows, I got to do it myself. So
Right.
I would just have bands like regularly, and on all the flyers that I would put together, it would be KBOR presents.
Yeah.
So KBOR Records became like a promotion company / record label.
Right.
Just putting out my records. And then,
you have like 2 other artists on there, I think, right? Other than Manuel Sex Drive. I'm gonna mess it up, but Nas Zurich.
Yeah.
Zurich.
Yeah. Not Zurich.
Oh, Zurich. Okay, sorry.
It's all right.
And then Blood Handsome.
Yeah, that's right. And
so how'd you meet those? How'd you?
After being out here for a couple years, like I just started. I just started meeting people and realized there was this like little scene forming with artists doing stuff similar to what I was doing, like a lot of duos and solos, and duo and solo acts,
Mm-hmm.
And so we just started playing shows together, and I got to know some of them, and one of them, Nasaruk, reached out to me asking if I could put out a vinyl for him, and I was like, well, vinyl's expensive, so I guess like that's cool that you think I'm a real label, like that's doing more than just putting out my own stuff.
So you kind of.
And I was like, you know what? I actually could be a real label. Why the fuck not? Like,
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? I like this album that you brought to me. Let's do it, kid. Let's do it.
All right, kid. You got a deal.
Take you under my wing, kid.
That's awesome.
It was. I don't know. I really liked the music he was making, and
Mm-hmm.
thought he was a real nice guy and everything. And we just got to talking and everything, and I just felt like, yeah, let's. We can figure out a way to do like a really DIY, 10-inch record.
Right.
Which we ended up having it lathe cut, so it was like on this clear. I can't remember what kind of plastic it is, but it wasn't vinyl. It was like a clear like plastic, and it was like carved into it.
Wow.
And we ended up just like making our own sleeves, like. My wife did most of it. She had like most of the plans for it and everything.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I ended up just printing out some like sticky labels and putting them on the record. So they're very DIY.
Yeah. Well, that's you. I mean, that's another thing I wanted to ask you too. Like DIY, that's very you. Like, so like, what made you want to? Well, I want to be DIY too, but what like, you didn't want to. There was no. Did you ever have any like? Thought of I want to try to send them. Did you ever send stuff to your labels or a label or your label? Did you ever send anything to like labels out there, or did you just said?
Actually, yeah. Now that you mention it, that's pretty much what gave me the idea to just do my own thing. Because at first I just sent my album to Alternative Tentacles, and I was just like, hey, maybe Jello Biafra would like my music because it's like anarchist and it's like
right.
Some of it was like funny and like
Mm-hmm.
I did a song with Vermin Supreme, so hey, he's got to listen to it, right?
Yeah, right. That was on the Western World for your single, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Vermin
pretty cool.
Supreme is my president. I like it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
No response.
What's that?
No response from Alternative.
No. They responded actually. It was like. it was supposedly Jello Biafra. It was probably just someone writing on his behalf. But
Yeah.
they were like, "Hey, we're not looking for new music right now, but hey, why not start your own label? Like, you could just do this and this."
Oh.
And I was like, "Okay, Jello, I will do that."
I listen. Yeah.
Thank you, like Jello's, like, you know, his like template for what he writes back to people.
Probably right.
That
Yeah.
gives me an idea. I think I'll start my own label. So I just figured, hey, you know,
Yeah.
DIY is where it's at. I'll do it.
That happened. Well, that happened to me. I wrote in junior high. I wrote to Discord Records, to Ian Mackay.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was like, I'm straight edge. This is so. Yeah, you're awesome. Then, and then like some guys like, huh?
There were some cool Discord bands.
Oh, for sure. And then I got a thing back in the mail. I'm like, here's my address. Like, I don't know why I put my address in. I mean, I wanted something response validation, I guess. But he goes, hey, I'll pass this to Ian. Keep it up. So, yeah, you went back to LA, and then you started your solo thing, and then in 2019 you released, I'm going to fuck this up so bad, but Autonomously Yours.
Autonomously Yours.
I said it right.
You got it.
Last night I was talking to my fiance. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna fuck this up. And she's like, and I proceeded to fuck it up. But which is awesome album, fantastic. You can catch that on all your streaming platforms. The album cover is awesome, totally cool. I say awesome a lot, sorry, but very great album.
And that's actually a friend of mine, Ethan Scott, who is an artist. Comic books, you know, portraits. He's an amazing artist from Arizona, and you know, one day he just like shared this this style that he was really into at the time. He had painted something that looked like an old paperback novel, you know, and I was just like, this is an amazing art style, and I just reached out to him. I'm like, are you doing commissions right now? Like, you know, would you be interested in, like, you know, if I just, like, I don't know how to, like, paint really or anything, so if I could just tell you my idea and you can kind of do your own thing with it. And he really was excited about it, so
yeah,
he turned it around, like, real quick, and he, like, kind of sketched out a few options, and we just sort of built it, you know, with my ideas and his skills, and he, like, really put that old kind of tattered style in it, you know.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, he's an amazing artist for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. When I first saw it when you announced it, and then when you showed the album art, like my first thought was like, this is totally 80s.
Yeah.
And that's like, yeah, very, very reminiscent of that. And awesome. Damn, I said it again. But
yeah, I mean, I'd always like been always into synth-based music and you know, synth pop. I love Wolfshine and like
yeah, they're awesome. Or
Depeche Mode and like all sorts of synth pop sort of stuff from the 80s and 90s, and you know, it just kind of like led to me like making a lot of music. I don't know, like I mess around with genre constantly, and I just have so many influences that I just kind of pour into. So I try not to pay too much attention to genre, but it comes out sounding very 80s most of the time, I would say.
Definitely. And that's a big part of what I've been to, and I mean, it's timeless, honestly, I think.
Yeah.
It really is. You can genre bend it and have that still as a base, and it's just always fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm also really into like darker, like macabre sort of stuff. Like Nick Cave is one of my favorite songwriters, and Bauhaus, The Cure, and that sort of stuff. So I kind of like toy with like dark.
I got a little Robert Smith right here.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I love The Cure. Yeah, yeah, it's the best music, and you find the best people with it too.
And Bauhaus.
Oh, yep. I remember that. I was gonna say, yep. I remember when I met you, and I was like, because you had a cut off, and I was like, dude,
oh, that's right, yeah.
It's Bauhaus.
Jeez, I can't believe how long I've had this thing.
Is that the only tattoo you have?
No, I also have this one. I only have two.
Okay.
This is kind of, it was supposed to be like black flag bars a little bit. But
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
representing my dad, myself, and my kid, you know?
Okay, cool. Is it a big influence on your life?
Yeah, my kids for sure. You know, my dad growing up for sure. Like we've kind of grown apart, but like.
Yeah.
You know,
Dads.
yeah, it happens. You know, he's cool, but you know, and I'm proud of like where I came from, I guess. You know? But really, I mean, I think just my family's really cool. Like my kids are cool. I was a young dad, so it's been a big part of my life. Like, you know, ever since I can basically remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember much from my teenage years. They were kind of a blur. But,
Oh yeah, they should be, right?
yeah.
Does she like your daughter? You said, right? Does she like the
music?
Does she like? Do you show her the songs before you put them out or anything? Or?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Cool.
For sure, all the time. Like usually, I try not to like interrupt whatever she wants to listen to, but sometimes if I find a convenient place to slip in my own music, I'll be like, hey, check out what I've been working on lately. And most of the time, she loves it. You know.
Awesome.
I don't know if she's could just be being nice, but she offers like very thoughtful comments about it. So I was like, it always makes me feel like, oh, you're actually listening. You're not just being nice.
Like yes, Dad, yeah, it's great, yeah. Cause the past like 2 years with all this shit going on, like, you know what? Like my first thought, honestly, was, oh shit, Monty's gonna have some good music coming out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With everything, and it's been great, honestly. But
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a new album coming out though.
Yeah.
Next month.
December 10th, I'm putting out Fainting by Numbers, which will officially be my second full length.
Right. Yeah, which is also a cool album cover.
Yes, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Jen Woodall did the album art for that, and she's an amazing artist. She's also like a comic book artist, but also all sorts of different types. We have some like pictures of hers that she drew and painted and everything. And
what was yeah, it's really good. There's a contest also, I'll get into that, but I wouldn't ask like what was the influences for this album lyrically?
Well, a lot of the songs dealt with like the kind of the anger that was going on at the time, which still kind of is, like the political anger and the idea of like justice and how it's kind of just represented by the U.S. justice system, which is really outdated in a lot of ways and also really like corrupt in a lot of ways and just flawed in general. So I don't know, it had a lot to do with the police and justice and my thoughts on like anarchy and as opposed to capitalism and things like that. So,
right.
Basically, I just told Jen that that was kind of the theme, and she just like drew up this idea of like a modern Lady Justice sort of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got from it when I looked at it. I was like, that's what it reminded me of. Yeah, absolutely.
And basically the first thing I saw, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I love it. This is, and based on how the album sounds to me, like it just fits so well. And that's what I was mostly looking for, was like something that, I don't know, just all the albums that I've loved growing up, always had like artwork that perfectly represented the album.
Yeah, do you think? Yeah, is that how? Like, I believe. I strongly believe in album covers. Because I don't know about nowadays, but like you go through a record store or whatever, like you're gonna pick up, plastic surgery disaster or whatever. I mean, that's gonna grab my eye or something. Like,
right.
We mentioned Jello and all that, or like any punk record really, but
yeah, I mean that's really what like pulls people in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when they happen to see your artwork somewhere. I don't know, probably on the internet too sometimes, but I don't know enough about how people. I know how I find music on the internet,
Yeah.
but I don't really know, you know, how people seek out music. So I don't know how
It's a
big
mystery.
artists do it these days, you know.
Yeah, because I got friends that like I have no idea. I guess like whatever I don't know was posted on Spotify or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's how I learn about it a lot. And other times it's like I just fall into a hole where I'm like listening to one artist, and then I'm like, oh, like what else has this artist done? Or, you know,
Yeah, that's
I'll
yeah.
branch out.
That's me every night. Probably tonight too. I like literally will like even learn about like I like recently I've been like I'm gonna watch every Cramps video on YouTube,
Oh
and
yeah.
then I learned like I've been doing that for years, but but or like
Psychiatric hospital footage.
yeah, dude, that's so good at the insane asylum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And like what 13 people escaped and all that. It's like so cool.
Actually, when I was in the Video Nasties, like our singer had this idea, like because our singer at the time, Danny, worked at a nursing home, and the nursing home had like a psych ward, you know. Him being like so influenced by the Cramps, all of us really. We
Mhm.
actually covered I Was a Teenage Werewolf in that band, but
Oh, nice. I gotta hear that.
but we ended up playing this nursing home he was working at.
Oh,
They brought out all the residents from the psych ward and everything, and people were dancing to us and everything.
oh my God! So you had your own.
Yeah, I think there used to be footage on YouTube from that, but I don't know what happened to it.
Ah, that's a fucking amazing.
I'll look for it. If I find it, I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to watch that. I feel like that was probably. I mean, for the Cramps too. Like, because like Luck said. I don't mean to go off. Sorry, but Luck said. Luck said like at the time people weren't like really into them. So like playing that show, like people were like, "This is they got it." Like people, you know, they were just have it was it's about having fun, and
Yeah.
those people had fun, and that's so cool. I had to see that. That's so cool. I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
See if I can find it. Like
Hmm.
it must have been pretty raw footage.
If you do, I'll link it with this. So
Okay.
spread the good word.
It was fun. It was fun times.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's so cool. So yeah, the coloring contest I mentioned for your new album, Fading by Numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You have to follow KBOR Records. I hope I don't. And you have to follow yourself, Reverend Monty O'Blivion on Instagram, which I will link that as well. And yeah, I want to ask you about you have to follow Hush Club.
Mm-hmm.
But what is Hush Club? Is that you?
Well, Hush Club is a collective that I'm a part of with
Okay.
actually Blood Handsome, which is a close friend of mine, Garen Reach, who, you know, we started playing shows together, and I really found a lot of the passion I was like looking for in him and everything, and so I really wanted to work more with him. And he was part of this group called Hush Club, which had artists in like several states, like Kentucky and like I think North Carolina, and like all over the place. You know, just sort of electronic dark wave sort of projects.
Okay.
And you know, he was like, "Yeah, can we put out one of your singles or whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah, definitely." So I put out "Not My Revolution," my last single, through Hush Club.
Okay.
And from then, like Garen and I just became really close, and I was basically like, "Yeah, let's KBR and Hush Club kind of team up." I agreed to like, you know, help out with all vinyl stuff with Hush Club, and so. And it ended up just evolving to like, oh yeah, we're gonna be a collective, and like, you know, I just started like putting Hush Club on everything, and you know, just promoting us as a group rather than just myself, you know.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I've been looking for something like that for a long time, and I like found a really cool community of that here in LA. It's great.
Cool, non-stop growing. You know, that's cool.
Yeah, it's
So yeah,
nice because we all like kind of pool our resources and help each other out. Like
yeah, that's how it should be. Yeah,
I agree. That's
yeah,
exactly what I've been like hoping for a long time,
yeah.
and
Just
not getting in a lot of these other scenes. There's like a lot of competition that I'm
yeah.
not interested in. Like,
Nobody wants to like lift each other up, or it's always like,
oh yeah,
it's
and for
crazy.
me, it's like my primary music is still a lot of older stuff, but like I get so excited about most of the modern music I'm into is just like other bands at like my same level, really, like because there's so much amazing stuff going on that like go relatively unnoticed.
Right. Because I think you're friends with like what male tears too, or
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Male Tears is amazing.
yeah,
We're good friends as well. Male Tears done some stuff through Hush Club as well.
yeah.
And yeah, James from Male Tears is a good friend. And
Hmm.
yeah, love Male Tears music.
Yeah, there's so much. I think like 6 years ago or 5 years ago, like when I saw it, there wasn't much of a synth pop, dark wave, post punk stuff
Yeah,
on the East Coast for say. I don't know about. I mean, I do know about most of the West Coast, but now there seems to be more of that around here, so it's cool to see. I actually saw my first finally synth pop band, Frankie Rose. Have you ever heard of her?
Frankie Rose. That sounds familiar.
She's pretty good. She covers a whole Cure album, but like I
Oh
saw like
yeah.
a couple weeks ago, and I turned my coworker I went with. It was this band Nothing. You heard of them, but
Oh man, I love them actually.
oh really?
Yeah, they're kind of like shoegazy, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Because I know they kind of went through they started like kind of the metal sort of thing, didn't they? And then they kind of like
Yeah.
went the Deftones route where like they got more spacey and more like.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it was it's definitely like sad and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. I'll tell you later. I guess if I don't want to get too off. Sorry. But the drummer from Nothing, he has a kind of like a goth thing too project, which is really good. But
Oh, what's that?
Night Sins.
Okay.
Yeah, he's really good. But so anyway, I would say like because like, it's nice to see that you have that on the West Coast, and then that's kind of I mean, maybe it has been, but I haven't been until I don't know. I'm like that guy like scenes in life. I'm not. But like I'm starting to notice it more on like I'm in Philly and all that, like New York and stuff. There's more of a resurgence, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, I want to come back up there so bad. I will eventually too. Like,
Yeah, well, I was gonna say I gotta come over to. I'll probably have to fly over to you. I want to go to the West
yeah,
Coast.
that'd be cool.
Hopefully, maybe next year or something. I don't know. Like I'm like
Let
fuck.
me know for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always got stuff going on. I try to stay busy. And,
Yeah. I always see you posting shows and all that. And I was like, fuck. Why isn't this happening over like? I mean, I guess they kind of have like golf club shows now in Philly, but all that stuff. But yes. Anyway, you need to follow. You need to follow Reverend Monty O'Blivion, Hush Club Ltd, and Funeral Beat. And the winner will be announced on 12/9. I forget. It's escaping my mind. It's like a blank canvas of the not blank canvas, but it's no color of the album cover. Can you?
right.
Where can you get that at?
Just on. You can get it on my Instagram page. So
Okay.
basically, just do like a screenshot of it, and you can go to markup in your phone and like color it in, or you can like print it out and color it.
Yeah, I think I might try that.
Cool. Yeah,
All right, we'll try it.
Thinking about it, we're like, I wonder if that'll be difficult for anybody, and we're like, maybe we should. We're thinking about maybe printing some out and putting them in some record stores and things like that.
That's
just
cool.
let people grab them up,
Yeah.
But yeah, for now it's like all like digital that you can print out.
Yeah, definitely. I got. I was telling my fiance, I was like, I'm gonna print this out, and I got to the 9th, but I'm gonna.
You should. You get a cool prize.
Yep. Yeah, you get KBOR and Hush Club merch.
Yeah.
And a Fading by Numbers on vinyl.
That's right.
Is the winner. So
So get those submissions in, color, have fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like amazing, you can just have fun with it,
Yeah. It's definitely cool. I think I messed up though because you said the winner is announced on 12/19. Oh yeah, never mind. You can put it in. 12/19 is the deadline. On that day you can't submit, right? 12/9, I mean.
12/9.
Yeah, so 19. And a 1.
19, no, because the album comes out the 10th. No, the album's coming out the 10th.
Yeah, so Thursday.
It won't be out on vinyl. It's going to be out digitally.
Right.
Vinyl's going to take a while because apparently some pop artist decided to get like a record-setting amount of vinyls printed, and it's hogging up all the plants. So
that's the thing now, right? Because vinyl sells, and record companies realize that. So I read a post somewhere like 10 years ago you could get or even more you could get a vinyl. You can get vinyl made super quick, but now all the major labels are like, oh, and there's less plants than there are major labels that want all the vinyl, so it's slowing everything down. Plus with all the COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it takes forever to get vinyl back.
I can imagine.
That's why we tried to do the last one like more DIY. It didn't sound quite as good as we were looking for. Originally, I was going to put out Fading by Numbers a while ago, but the original there's like a really limited amount that we got. There's like 10 or something like that, but they're made from a lathe cutter, and like it just didn't work for the sound, and we decided like let's wait to release this. The Nas Rock one sounds fine, I think, and Nas really likes it. Nas. For some reason I always call him that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, Nas Rock, they really likes the album, and I think it sounds good for their sound too. Because they do kind of have like a vintage, like analog sound.
Yeah, definitely. I listened a little bit when I was doing the research part.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find that all on KBORRecords.com too.
KBORRecords.com. Yes.
And yeah, man. Is there anything you would like to add?
No, it's just great to be talking to you, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
To your show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, I gotta add this though. When I met you 6 years ago, this is pretty funny. I don't know if you might remember, but I guess it was at the Kung Fu Necktie in Philly, which is gone now.
It is?
Yeah, didn't make it.
That sucks.
Yeah, at least I'm like 99% sure, but yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Just couldn't do it, man.
Yeah, but you guys, it was a husband and wife rockabilly band, and you guys, Limit Club.
Yeah.
And I guess they didn't tell you when to stop. So I guess I don't know, like there's the third band. I thought you guys were it. The third band was like the owner of the bar or something. I don't know, but like I guess they told you guys like, hey, are you guys done yet? And then it was hilarious. I don't know. I think it was Nick. Maybe he goes, "Oh my god, I didn't know." I was like, "Fuck them. Who gives a shit?" And then they came on and they played like cover songs or something. I was like, "See?"
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. Like, "Oh my god, we didn't know. We didn't know." I'm like, "Who cares?" Yeah, that was funny. But yeah. Did you guys lose a lot of venues in LA or sorry, in Cali from the last year?
Well, we did lose a good chunk of the DIY stuff that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few places that survived though. The Smell survived, and that's awesome. I volunteer there actually.
Oh, cool.
Venue. And there's a couple more, like mostly downtown LA, but there's things that have sprung up too. Like there's this place in Compton that I play out a lot. That's like, just an outdoor patio area, like behind a burrito shop, and like people have like kind of started doing like house shows and things like that. So there's things that have been happening. And there's a place I've been booking at that's in like a bowling alley and things like that. So
sick. That's one thing I thought with all like this stuff.
We're all figuring out ways to play shows, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, some of the other places are opening back up that closed down previously, and so you know, it's starting to get a little easier to like book shows out here. But it's kind of cool because, you know, for someone who was kind of a newcomer in LA like me before the pandemic, this was kind of like, you know, it was a little easier to be, if you're an established musician, it was kind of easier to like, you know, start something like Hush Club, like a collective or a scene a little bit, you know. It was kind of like ripe for the picking, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, right. That's what I thought that too. Like near the end, like during the pandemic, I was like, well, this is gonna like when I kept on seeing like this venue shut down, this venue shut down, this venue shut down. Like they've been around forever, and I'm like, this is really gonna bring back DIY because these people are gonna have nowhere to play, and everyone's gonna get together, and something good's gonna come out of it. So it's cool to hear that's actually happening.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like a lot of these bands that are doing like, you know, a lot of synth-based electronic type stuff. Or what we're doing is like the only bands that we're able to really practice and like keep their chops up during the quarantine.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah. Together, you know. So it was like people just on their own. It was like, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting like reemergence almost of like bedroom pop or bedroom rock, you know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Which is, you know, it's nice to see like something come out of it like that in a way.
Yeah, and it's good too because like you see like when that kind of happens, it's not like the bands that like have just been playing like the same, I don't know, 10 songs for like, you know, 10 years or whatever, like, but haven't been able, you know, the bands who are they just want to party and play shows. Nothing wrong with that, but like a lot of the cover bands, things like that, since they're not playing shows, it's just people who are like, they have to be making the music, you know what I mean? It's people who are like, it's not the people who are like, oh, well, there's no shows right now, so music's just kind of off. It's people who like have the calling, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. That's who's rising out of this.
Yeah, so it's cool to hear like what's coming out after that whole thing.
Yeah. Well, awesome, man.
Yeah, the Renaissance, I think. You know?
It really is. It's weird. It's so weird, but awesome. I don't know. It's like, so if you told me that like 3 years ago, I'd be like, what?
I know.
Like everyone's just gonna keep playing what they do, but yeah, it's definitely happening. That's so awesome. So Fading by Numbers is out December 10th.
Number 10th.
Yeah. KBOR Records.
KBOR Records.
Thank you so much for being my first guest on this show.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And this is the KRED Yard. And in and out. Thank you.